All right, everybody. I'd like to address something of a myth and a legend out there surrounding the infamous C-stand. So the common advice out there is that you're supposed to put the bag on the high leg. And generally speaking, if your load is sitting here directly over the center of the stand, I mean, it's okay, but it doesn't take a whole lot for me to push this over. The reason for that is kind of simple, although not necessarily obvious. Most people, when they think about C-stands, think that the pivot point is here. But the fact is that's not actually the pivot point. In fact, if you're watching what the stand was doing when I hit it, it's actually pivoting between this leg and that leg, or this leg and the back leg. So if I hit it, you see that? It's not tipping over here. It's not doing that. It's taking the path of least resistance, which is this path between these two legs. So likewise, if I were to grab myself an arm and arbitrarily set it up and line it up reasonably over the leg, but even if I look down, there's still about that much of an offset between the force of this arm being directly over. So if I just put my arm on it, well, where did it go? It went between these two legs. It didn't try and do that. It just did that. In fact, if I move this over a little bit, let's make sure these are tight. So maybe if I try and play with it, I can get it to go over the tip. But the bottom line is this bag is not really doing as much as we'd like. So if we move this bag to the back of the second leg and center this back up again, and we apply the same force, oh, wait a second. I'm applying roughly the same amount of force. In order for me to pull this over, I can feel it. It's almost about twice as much effort. The reason for that is because if the pivot point is here and the bag is here, the distance from this pivot point is about that much. When we move it back here, we've got about that much more lever effect by placing this out on the back leg. When you put bags on stands, you have to think about if you're extending a load out on an arm, you have to be aware of how those forces are being applied to see if really putting the bag up front here is going to do any good whatsoever, or whether you need to put it on the back or back two legs. Now, I know some people are just like, well, if the bag touches the ground, it's not really putting weight on this. There's some truth to that. I'm not going to get into that right now. But if you use shot bags, which tend to be a lot more compact, that's a 15-pound bag, and it's hanging freely off the ground so that it's, wow, taking considerably more effort to do that. Whoop. It goes right over if it's on this front leg. I'll tell you what, guys, next time you're on a job and you got some stands and you got 2 minutes to play around, yeah, it literally takes a half or a third the force on the front leg versus having it on the back leg. I'm still not actually lifting it off. It's still kind of swinging around. But I think you guys get the idea that you have to think about what you're doing and you just can't always accept verbatim things that you're told because they're not always accurate, or they're based on a half-truth or half-accurate thing, or only in certain circumstances. So if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.